we're not worried as the players. If I'm gonna be like frank and honest and transparent, we're not worried. All the power is in our hands. We have never had a moment like this where there's been so much momentum, where there's been so much investment, demand of our sports. And I'm just kind of like upset, frustrated, all of us. And in a lot of ways, just like disgusted with the W and how they're handling this and their lack of value, their lack of worth for us, their lack of even trying to attempt to move the needle with us. Like if we actually told you the percentages of what they're giving, that they're like sending to us, it would absolutely piss y'all off. We will not fucking move until y'all move. And it would be the worst business decision of any business to not literally pay the players that make your business go.
Why do a lot of these WNBA players sound like dudes? Why are some of these women trying so desperately hard to be masculine? They try to emulate NBA players on the court and fail miserably. They make unreasonable demands trying to match the revenue percentages that NBA players are receiving, and they fail miserably. They try to emulate their masculine voices, and ironically enough, this is the only aspect where WNBA players actually succeed. According to Natasha Cloud, it would be the worst business decision in the world if the WNBA refuses to overpay players who have absolutely no ability to generate profit. What? Excuse me? Let me make sure I'm understanding you correctly. You're telling me it would be a bad business decision to not overpay players who are responsible for losing over $300 million in the last 30 years? It would be a bad decision to refuse to pay players who can't draw flies to a fresh turd on television. Last I checked, millions of people were telling the WNBA to get off my TV. It would be a bad business decision to not overpay players who can't sell out a high school gym? Well, Uncle Casey, that's not true. Unrivaled drew over 21,000 screaming fans in Philadelphia last night. This secondary dump is a huge success. I know last night was a very, very rare celebratory night for Unrivaled. So I am not going to shit on their parade of turds, but drawing a good crowd for a one-off event, that does not guarantee future success. It doesn't mean that Unrivaled is thriving. If you don't believe me, just go look at their ratings on television. My inside sources, they are telling me that there were more people in the arena last night than people watching at home on TV. Have you guys ever seen the movie American Gangster? It is a classic. Denzel Washington plays the leading role of Harlem drug dealer Frank Lucas. He brings up his brothers and cousins from North Carolina and establishes a multi-million-dollar narcotics organization in New York City. At one point in the movie, Frank Lucas and his brothers, they're out partying in a nightclub. One of his younger brothers is dressing flashy. He's bringing attention to himself. He's buying everyone drinks. Hey, look at me! I'm Superfly! Yeah, Brutus will be thinking you're Superfly when he's introducing himself to that ass in prison. Frank Lucas pulls his brother to the side and asks him what the hell he's doing. Why are you bringing unwanted attention to yourself? Why are you wearing a coat that costs more than the average salary for a cop in New York City? He ends up telling his brother, the loudest one in the room is the weakest one in the room. The guy who talks tough is usually the first to run away when a grape is busted in a high school fruit fight. This statement from Frank Lucas, it perfectly describes negotiations in the WNBA dump. For months, WNBA players have been talking tough. For months, WNBA players have been doing what they do best, which is whining and complaining. They've been using their pretend friends in the mainstream media to manipulate WNBA fans into taking their side. But as you guys know, this is wasted time. It's wasted effort since WNBA fans don't exist. But throughout all this time, throughout all of the incessant whining and complaining, throughout all the demands from WNBA players that Kat Engelbert be replaced as the diva of dump divas, for the most part, the WNBA has chosen to exercise their right to remain silent. The question is why? Maybe, just maybe, the WNBA knows they have all the leverage. The league knows they have all the power. And when you're negotiating from a position of power, you don't need the media. You don't need manipulation. You don't need gimmicks. All you need is patience. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Wanted to give you guys a quick heads up. The upload schedule is going to be a little bit lighter over the next couple of days. We're taking Chew up to Auburn on Monday to see the oncologist. Just driving up there and back is an all-day affair, not to mention the 4 to 5 hours that we're going to spend at the cancer center. I got to prepare a video for Monday tomorrow, so we will be back to our regular schedule on Tuesday, unless, of course, something unforeseen happens. While I'm taking care of Chew on Monday, the participants of the most unprofitable league in the history of this country, they will be meeting in person to negotiate a new collective bargaining agreement. Now, this is the first time that the WNBA and WNBA players are meeting face-to-face in months. This dump is on the verge of extinction, and you mean to tell me they haven't met face-to-face in months? From the WNBA's perspective, I completely understand this strategy. Or as my good friend Georgie Bush prefers to call it, strategery. It makes no difference to NBA owners whether this dump lives or dies. Matter of fact, the primary subsidizers of pretend basketball, they would actually save millions of dollars if Mr. Magoo waved his magic wand and made this league of poo disappear. But from a player's perspective, I don't understand the strategy. I know WNBA players live in a world of entitlement and delusion. I know they have been hypnotized by the illusion of delusion. But if the WNBA is shut down, you don't have a job. Most WNBA players would have to use their brooms to sweep floors instead of transportation. Well, Uncle Casey, that's not true. WNBA players can rely on Unrivaled to supplement their income. Yeah, that's exactly what Steven Aztec said this week. But my name is Azura Stevens.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
According to Steven Azura, WNBA players are prepared to strike. They are prepared to cancel the 2026 season if their unreasonable demands aren't met. Why? I don't care about the WNBA, to be honest with you. I'm making good money with Unrivaled. My girl Fee Collier has promised to take care of me financially. Where have I heard that before? Where have I heard that WNBA players would use Unrivaled as leverage in negotiations for a new CBA? Oh yeah, Uncle KC has been telling you this since Unrivaled opened their doors for unprofitable business more than a year ago. Hell, I think one of the only reasons Unrivaled was even started was so it could be used as leverage to exploit millions of dollars out of the WNBA, which really means exploiting millions more out of the NBA. But there's just one problem, one tiny problem here. Actually, there are two problems. Number one, Unrivaled is the drizzling shits when it comes to leverage because the league is a huge embarrassing failure. Problem number two, the WNBA knows this and they're not budging. Last month, WNBA players submitted a proposal demanding 30% of league revenue. Not profit, not net revenue, not revenue after expenses. WNBA players are demanding 30% of all revenue that the league generates. Now, players are outraged because the league just refused to respond. They ignored this proposal. Why in the hell would the league respond to this? If you owned a business that lost $40 million last year and your employees were demanding significant raises along with 30% of your company's revenue before taxes and expenses were deducted, would you respond to that proposal? Uncle KC would issue a response. I would tell everyone making these unreasonable demands, you're fired. For the better part of 30 years, and especially over the last 5, maybe even 10 years, WNBA players have been their own worst enemy. They are literally turning down million-dollar annual salaries. They are turning down life-changing money. Think about it. Several years ago, WNBA players were making minimum wage. There were welfare recipients in Ethiopia making more money than pretend basketball players. The league is offering million-dollar annual salaries. They are offering 70% of net revenue, which is pretty much the profit the league generates. And WNBA players are turning it down. Why? Well, for starters, they know this dump of a league doesn't generate profit. But the reality is, WNBA players are once again demanding guaranteed money instead of earned money. If the 2026 season is canceled, this league will never recover. Caitlin Clark was out most of last season. Her drawing power is diminishing. If the WNBA never recovers, there's only one loser in the aftermath. The NBA will be fine. One thing billion-dollar corporations are really good at doing, finding tax write-offs. If the WNBA ceases to exist, the NBA can just find another way to shield their income from the IRS. The television networks, they'll be fine. There is not a single network that is relying on the WNBA to be sustainable. Obviously, WNBA fans, they'll be fine because they don't exist. Caitlin Clark fans, they will follow her to whatever she decides to do next. The only losers in this scenario are unknown WNBA players. If I were one of these unknowns, I would be demanding that Natasha Cloud not be allowed in these negotiations. I've never understood this. Why are you allowing someone to represent your interest who has a clear conflict of interest? If the WNBA folds, Natasha Cloud believes Unrivaled will be a guaranteed success. Now, of course, Natasha Cloud and her husband, maybe her parents, they're the only ones who believe that, because everyone else knows there is only one end result for Unrivaled. Huge, embarrassing failure. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys later.